Hey everyone, this is Grant Cohn for the Santa Rosa Press Democrat. The 49ers just lost to the Arizona Cardinals at home by 10 points. Gave up 28 points, lost 28 to 18. This is an embarrassing, shameful loss for the 49ers. I said before the game, if they lost this game, this would be embarrassing, shocking, and it would lead to big questions about the franchise, about Kyle Shanahan, about John Lynch. That's where we're at. I said the Niners were only going to lose this game if they beat themselves. There was no way the Cardinals were going to take this game from the 49ers. They weren't even going to try. They had that 75-yard touchdown and then shut down their offense the rest of the game. They said 7 points will be enough. And it pretty much was, because the Niners handed them the rest of the points. Everything I said the Niners couldn't do, they did. Everything I said Kyle Shanahan couldn't do, he did. And again, it's Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, trumping Kyle Shanahan, the head coach. Because Shanahan had a tough decision to make this week. Was he going to mute his offense to win the game? Or was he going to run his typical offense and risk losing the game? The offensive coordinator wants to throw, get as many yards as possible, preserve his offensive ranking. He doesn't want to put his offense in the tank artificially and hurt all of his rankings, yards per play, yards, touchdown, whatever, just so you can win the game, just for a win. But a head coach says, you know what, forget our offensive ranking. Who cares how many points, yards we have today? We're playing the worst team in the league. We're at home. We can win with 10 points. Let's score 10 points and not turn the ball over at all, and we'll win. Because we're better than the Cardinals. We're better than them. We're at home. We have the advantage. We're not the ones who have to take risks here. If the Cardinals are content to play safety-first conservative football, we'll win. We can play safety-first conservative football too and win the game. It's on them. They're on the road. They're winless. They're terrible. It's on them to take a risk and try to win this game. The Cardinals never did. The Niners could have won this game with 10 points. But Shanahan asked Beathard to drop back 60 times. He threw 54 passes, he got sacked 4 times, and he scrambled twice. That's 60 dropbacks for a backup quarterback. I mean, nothing against Beathard. The entire passing game is out of sync because Beathard's only been here for 2 weeks. Goodwin's gone. It's just a hodgepodge of players. There's no way your passing game, you're going to ask 60 plays from your passing game and expect no turnovers? Expect 1 turnover? Now, one of the turnovers was from Raheem Mostert, the running back. Okay. Still, the other 4 are from Beathard. And if you look at his numbers in his career, he's a turnover machine. Every game, 2 turnovers, at least. The one game he didn't commit 2 turnovers was the way he won against the Giants, where he committed only 1. I'm saying, look, if you can win with C.J. Beathard, especially against the Cardinals, but not if you expose him to the defense 60 times, because he's not that good. He's just going to turn the ball over. He's not Josh Rosen. He's not Tom Brady, but he's not even Josh Rosen. Look, Rosen's a better quarterback right now than C.J. Beathard. But Rosen only dropped back 29 times. McCoy, the offensive coordinator for the Cardinals, who I hate, was just the most unimaginative offensive coordinator in the league. Basically protected Rosen, played like he had the better team. Really said, I'm not taking any risk. We're running up the middle. I'm protecting my quarterback. We're going to just commit no turnovers and see if that wins the game for us. And it did. I mean, Arizona had 10 first downs. They had 220 yards of total offense. That's after a 75-yard play in the first play of the game. 61 total yards of offense in the second half. They only ran 49 plays, which was below their season average of 58. The Niners ran 92 plays and lost by 10 points. They had the ball for 1948. It was an amazing game to watch. Basically, the Cardinals saying, we don't have to try to win. You're going to lose it. We don't have to try to win. We trust you, Kyle Shanahan, to blow this because you're a bad head coach. That's basically what they said to Kyle Shanahan. You're a bad head coach. You're going to lose this game, even against us. And they were right. That's what happened. I just put out a tweet after the game, and I think it's the truth. The difference between Kyle Shanahan and Hugh Jackson is Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, Hugh Jackson was a very successful offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. Really successful. And then he went to Cleveland, had a bad roster, a lot of excuses, didn't win a lot, but never had Jimmy Garoppolo. It looks like the same thing that's happened here. This looks, when Garoppolo doesn't play, this team looks like Cleveland West, or worse. 9 penalties, a mixed extra point, 5 turnovers, and the team totally falls apart without Jimmy Garoppolo. Last week, C.J. Beathard stepped up. We knew that was the best game he was going to play. He was going against probably the worst defense in the league, the Chargers without Bosa. This defense is better. Patrick Peterson, this is better defense. You're going to ask him to drop back 60 times? I mean, that's the loss right there. There was another thing. Jack Hammer, who is a frequent contributor on my blog, really smart guy, points out how great the Niners' first drive was. I mean, the script, Kyle's script, you'd have to say was genius. It had geniusitis written all over it. He went right down the field, explosive play after explosive play, and never had to throw downfield. Just threw screen after screen after screen, and it worked. I think like every screen they ran got him at least 7 yards, except for those screen they ran on the 2-point conversion at the 2-yard line. That's a different circumstance. You don't throw that. You don't call that play on the 2-yard line, but every other screen worked. So he did 1 to Garcon, 2 to Juszczyk. Then they don't come back to that play until I want to say the end of the first half. They throw 1 to Garcon on 3rd and 8, which is the wrong time. That's a 1st and 10 play. And then they don't come back to it again until the very end with Juszczyk a couple of times. Or Kittle. No, Kittle. The long one to Kittle. And it's like, on the first drive, I was saying, wow. First of all, give Kyle Shanahan credit. His game plan's brilliant. His script is brilliant. And not only that, he repeated plays. The screen worked. So we called it 3 times in the first drive, and I love that because a lot of times in the NFL, the offensive coordinators outthink themselves. They feel like if they have 90 plays in a game, they really have to call 90 different plays, or else they're not a genius. They're not a guru. But it's like, dude, you just got 25 yards on this play. Call it again. Call it till it doesn't work. And he did that on the first drive. Like, wow, he repeated plays. Wow, he didn't overthink it. He got rid of the geniusitis, and then boom, you don't see it again for until the 3rd quarter. It's like, oh, geniusitis came back. Geniusitis came back. Look, dude. Again, this is Captain Double Down losing. That's Shanahan's nickname. Until he wins more than 1 game without Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not Kyle Shanahan. He's Coach Double Down. People say, gee, Kyle, you probably would have won last week if you just ran the ball a little bit more. If you don't expose your quarterback so much, maybe if you limit him to like 30 dropbacks, 25 to 30 dropbacks, just don't expose him. Play safety first, conservative football, win a game. Who cares about your stats, dude? Who cares about your stats? And Shanahan doubles down. Nope, I'm just gonna run my offense. Nope, I trust C.J. Beathard. Nope, I trust Richie James or whomever they had in the game today. He's doubled down. He's Captain Double Down. Always. Hey, you just lost last week because you made these mistakes, these common sense mistakes. If you fix those, you can win this game. Nope, not going to do it. We're going to drop back 60 times and turn the ball over. Hope we don't. And if we do turn the ball over, I'm blaming the players. How do you blame C.J. Beathard for committing 4 turnovers when he's just a backup? What do you think was going to happen asking him to drop back 60 times? Who do you think he is? Jimmy Garoppolo? Even Jimmy Garoppolo would have struggled with that game plan today. When Jimmy came in last year, Kyle was nervous as heck, had him handing off left and right, didn't want to expose him at all. He loves exposing C.J. Beathard. They run more with Garoppolo. What is that? That doesn't make any sense, man. That's an offensive coordinator running a team. That's a team without a head coach. If an offensive coordinator, if a team lost their starting quarterback, the backup comes in and they start throwing more, the head coach would have to take the coordinator aside and say, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You're giving us no chance to win. We can beat these guys. But you're making it all about the passing game. You're making it all about C.J. Beathard. He's our backup. Take your ego out of your stats. Take your ego out of your offense. Let's win with defense today. Let's win with defense today. The other team's not going to score. They got 7 points and tried to shut it down. They shut down their offense after the first play of the game. Just win with defense. It's not about your numbers. The defense played well enough to win. That first play was abysmal. Adrian Colbert, who knows what he was thinking in center field, giving up that long touchdown pass. But after that, the defense was terrific until they quit after giving up the 28th point. I mean, really, you understand at that point. The game was over. They quit. Not 28. It was when they gave up, 21. When it went 21-12, the defense quit. But up until then, the defense played great. Now, they were going against the worst offense in the league still. The Niners could win that game with defense and special teams and running. I mean, even if they averaged no more than 3.5 yards per carry or 3 yards per carry, if they had terrible efficiency on the ground, still, you run the ball 40 times, 45 times, you probably don't turn it over 5 times. It's easy to just blame the players. Hey, we can't turn it over 5 times. Hey, well, what do you expect when you ask Beathard to throw 60 times? What do you expect? Give it to Morris. Morris has been in the league 10 years, 8 years. He didn't turn the ball over today. Now he has 1 turnover this season, but still, he didn't turn the ball over today. Beathard's played 7 games, and he's turned the ball over in like all of them. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen if you ask him to win the game for you. He's going to lose it. You have to work around Beathard. I'm sorry, man. This is not a head coach. This is the worst loss of his career as a head coach by far. It's as bad as any loss that Chip Kelly or Jim Tomsula had, easily, at home. You lose by 10 to a winless team. You ran 50 more plays than they did, 40 more plays than they did. You held them to 61 total yards in the second half. How do you lose that game? Josh Rosen was 10 of 25. That's 40% completion percentage. In the modern era, so since Super Bowl I, has a team ever won completing 40% of their passes? I mean, maybe. So I'm not saying fire Kyle Shanahan, but now all of a sudden you got to think, is this guy a good head coach? If you can't win this game, how are you a good head coach? I don't think you are. You don't get excuses. You lost to the Cardinals at home. Sure, you didn't have Matt Breida. You still had a running back who was alive. He was breathing. Alfred Morris, give him the ball. You don't have to win and lose on this arm of C.J. Beathard because you're going to lose, period. Only time he's won a game is when he threw 25 passes. That's it. That's it. Every other time he's thrown at least 36. Kyle, where is the head coach in you to tell you to stop? You need to veto yourself, Kyle. You're killing yourself, Kyle. You're a head coach now. You just gave this game away. You lost the game, Kyle. You can't put it on the players. They didn't execute. No, they didn't execute, but they're a bad team. You have to help them. You have to be a little more conservative, especially when you're a 4-point favorite. Why do you need to take chances to beat the Cardinals when they really weren't going to score more than 7 points? The other points they scored were from short fields. They got the ball at the 20. They got the ball at the 30. Yeah, I don't get it. The team needs to force Kyle to hire an OC. Yeah. Or the team needs to hire a head coach and make Kyle the OC. Either one. Of course, that's not going to happen. But you understand, it's never going to happen. Kyle is never going to bring in someone into the organization who has more seniority than him in the league, has more football knowledge, more experience, someone who would disagree with him. It's never going to happen. Not in the front office, not in the head coach, not in the coaching staff. He's not going to do it. He's going to leave the 49ers before he brings in someone who would rock the boat in the coaching staff. It's not his style. He needs an OC. If they did that, it would just be some token promotion. They would make Mike LaFleur the OC when he probably already, he wouldn't have any actual responsibility change. This is Kyle's operation. They're all in with Kyle. He picks the players. He picks the coaches. He has all the ideas. He got out-coached by Robert Saleh today. Let me mention Robert Saleh because I was really hard on him last week, and I actually liked the things Robert Saleh did in this game. Before the game, I mentioned I hate cover 3. You always call cover 3. There's nothing else. Today, I thought in a lot of key third downs, they actually used cover 2. I hadn't seen them do it. They rotated out a lot. They would show cover 3, and then when the play started, you'd have one of the safeties bailing back and having 2 safeties deep. They actually disguised coverages. They ran stuff they don't normally run. Nice, Robert Saleh. You actually were creative. You went against tendency. You coached well today. I'm reading the tweets during the game, and everyone's saying the Niners are losing because of injuries and Robert Saleh. No, absolutely not. I'm not a fan of Robert Saleh's scheme, but you got to say that Robert Saleh coached well today. He did. He fixed all the problems he had last week. He heard the criticism. Your defense is vanilla and predictable. He heard the criticism, took it to heart, and made changes. He didn't say, no, I'm a genius, I'm going to double down, everything I do is right, I have the answers. No. He says, okay, fine, fair enough, I hear you. I made a mistake. Let's try it again. Let's do it differently. And he's right. It worked out. Good for you, Robert. You took your ego out of it. You went against Tennessee. Great. What about your head coach? Maybe you need to have a little talk with Kyle. Because he lost the game for you. You out-coached Kyle today, Robert. Good for you. If Kyle tries to put something on you in the meeting, don't let him do it. Put it right back on him. I haven't been to a meeting with Kyle. He just doesn't seem like the kind of person who invites blame on himself. He has all the answers. He's always right. Today, he lost the game. He was 100% wrong. His script was fine. His game plan was absurd. Yeah, they were down, but they weren't down big. I remember being in Atlanta when the Niners were in the NFC Championship game. They went down 24-0. They came out in the third quarter, ran the ball. They said, I don't care. There's still a lot of time left in this game. We may lose, but we're going to lose playing our style of football. We're not going to let you change who we are. And they won. You can still run the ball in the third quarter down three touchdowns. Run the ball. This team couldn't do it down 10. Down 11. I don't know. Are you encouraged with Kyle Shanahan right now? What's the difference between him and Hugh Jackson? Seems to me like Shanahan got a gift. The Jimmy Garoppolo gift. And now that that gift has been taken away, the rest of his operation has been exposed. He's been exposed. And you understand the injuries. The Niners have excuses, man. You understand the injuries, but not in a game like this. Not when you're playing Arizona. And not when you waste a good performance by your defense by calling an absurd game where you pass more than you run, where you ask your backup quarterback to drop back 60 times and win. I mean, did you run that by the rest of the coaching staff with a straight face on Tuesday? Hey, our game plan is, again, we're going to throw even more than last week. You know, last week when we threw 42 times, this week we're going to throw 60 times. They're never going to see it coming. We're going to kill them. Kyle, do you think it might lead to some turnovers? We might actually beat ourselves? No. CJ's great. Offense is great. If they ran 92 plays. If they had just run the ball, had a worse offense, gained fewer yards, runs fewer plays, scored fewer points, at least they wouldn't have committed 5 turnovers. Just run the ball. I mean, that's basically what Arizona did. They weren't even trying to score points. They're like, we have 7. You're going to lose it. It was either we stink, we're not going to try to win, or we have supreme confidence that you're going to screw this up. It was either a slap in the face of the 49ers or just a feeble effort by a bad team saying, look, I mean, if you want to give us a game, fine, but we're not even going to try to take it. Okay, so I've been pretty hard on Kyle Shanahan. Before I go, the other person that's on the hot seat has got to be John Lynch. Got to be. I mean, this offseason, just the free agent signings were abysmal. I mean, look at the players on this team. A lot of injury-prone players on this team. They talk about bad luck. Goodwin was injury-prone. Solomon Thomas does nothing. Reuben Foster, you don't really notice him in the game. He's not a playmaker. Anyway, I got to go do a bunch of stuff. Hopefully get out of here before 10 p.m. Thanks for watching. You said I knew it was only a matter of time before Grant started going after Lynch and Shanahan. I wonder, do writers in Cleveland get flack from the Cleveland fans for being hard on the Browns? Because what's the difference between the Browns and the 49ers? Really? Since 2015, I mean, they're the same. The only difference is Jimmy Garoppolo. The 5 games last year. Maybe a couple of wins, but really, the Niners are Cleveland West. Kyle is Hugh Jackson West, until proven otherwise. Kyle has 1 win without Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the team is undisciplined. They beat themselves. They're 2 years into a rebuild. These are the players they wanted. C.J. Beathard was a bad pick in the 3rd round, just like Cody Kessler was a bad pick in the 3rd round in Cleveland. This is Cleveland West. They've won 14 games since 2014. I point out that, geez, this organization is pretty embarrassing. People are like, boy, you're so negative. Why are you being hard on Kyle Shanahan? What has he proven? What has this organization proven since they ran off the one good coach they've had since what, Mariucci? This isn't going to get better. As long as Jed York wants to pick the people he's hiring and Parag Marath is involved, they're always going to get the wrong people. Always. I'm sorry. The local media really wants to praise Jed and say that he's turned a corner and learned something. He hasn't. He hasn't. He messed up this coaching hire by being involved in it. Period. As long as he picks people to hire, the Niners aren't going anywhere. I'm sorry. He needs to take himself out of the equation. He runs his team like it's his little toy. He broke it. All right, guys. It's time for me to go do a million things. Thanks for watching. Huma said Jed had one job, hire a good coach, and he didn't. He had no. He had a much more convoluted job than that. He needed to hire a GM. He hired the coach first. You don't do that. This is what you get. Look at how many people didn't want Shanahan. Shanahan interviewed with the Broncos. John Elway has known Kyle Shanahan since Kyle Shanahan was about 15 years old. Didn't want him. Didn't want him. No one wanted Kyle Shanahan. Now, they had to wait for him. Still, if he's good, you wait. You know who waited for him? Jed. You know what Jed did? He hired the head coach before he hired the GM. That's always a mistake. Now your GM stinks. Now your GM's a TV analyst. Now your GM's learning on the job. Now you blew the third pick picking Solomon Thomas. Now you really set back your entire rebuild. Jed, it's on you. You got to hire the GM first. Then you hire the head coach. That's what the Rams did. They kept their GM. They didn't hire McVay and then say, hey, McVay, now you pick someone to lead the front office. No, that's not what good teams do. That's not even regular teams do. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that they have no front office, they have the same scouts that Balky had, they have one of the worst assistant coaching staffs in the league. I mean, it's a reflection of Kyle, but it's much more a reflection of Jed. This is what you wanted. It's what you committed yourself to. You felt throwing a 6-year deal at Kyle and a 6-year deal at Jimmy Garoppolo would fix everything, but you're still Cleveland West. Doesn't that hurt? That's what we learned today. I mean, I think even Cleveland would have won. I think Cleveland could beat Arizona. The Niners might be the worst team in the league. If you can't beat Arizona at home, who can you beat? Who's worse than the 49ers? It looked like Detroit might be worse than the 49ers, but they just won today. They beat Green Bay, who was going to beat the 49ers next week. So who's worse than the 49ers? These are Kyle's players. No, you don't have Jim anymore. You have everyone else you wanted. You have some injuries, sure, but even the backups are people you wanted. You liked CJ. You traded up for him in the 3rd round. Okay, I'm really done now. Thanks for watching. I really am. Appreciate it.